Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. There's really no purpose, well, okay, I won't start out a video that way. There's no one topic for the video today. Basically me running my mouth, so if occasionally you guys, find that entertaining, hang around. If you don't, get out now, because that's really all it is, me running my mouth. I'm working on a Poulan Counter Vibe 3400 here, and that was the fuel hose, by the way. They shouldn't be crunchy, so yeah, that's a whoopsie daisy. I bought this saw. I got it on eBay, but it was a guy that I've known for quite some time. If my memory serves me correctly, I purchased my John Deere 350 CS from him. And before you just assume that, well, that's one of those Echo saws. No. The 350 CS was produced during the era that Homelight was owned by John Deere. So it's a Homelight Super XL automatic. Basically one of the old blues, like the 90s old blue. You know what, I'll rant about that in a minute too. But the 90s old blue, painted in full yellow. Let's see if I can get to one of these starters without knocking. Oh, shoot! Hey, there's some carb kits I forgot I had. A lot of carb kits I forgot I had. John Deere 350 CS. So it was basically, again, an old blue painted up in these colors. So, anyway, I bought that from Ted. That was one of the first, what I would call, rare saws that I added to my collection. Back when I was still trying to pretend like I wasn't going to turn into a total nut and collect chainsaws. See, I've given up any pretense of that now. You might have noticed. But anyway, this Counter Vibe came from the same gentleman, and he recognized my eBay handle, of course, and after exchanging pleasantries, he basically said, "Why the hell did you buy what was it?" He said, "What are you doing buying a lowly Counter Vibe?" I think, just a joke, but what am I doing with the Counter Vibe sitting here? Well, even though I haven't been able to finish up the 82cc challenge that I started talking about a year ago, that will happen this spring. I'm already planning ahead to the next one, and there's a lot. 82cc saws, there's a lot of those out there, but there's a lot more in the 58 to 60cc range. The Super XLs, this Counter Vibe, the Mac 1010s, Husky, Steel. I don't know their models, I know they have them. That's just a given. So I'm thinking ahead to the next time we need some entertainment. And if I've already got some of these saws on hand, it'll be a little bit easier. So anyway, this one's clean, it looks nice, and I'm just going through the carb here. The fuel tank smelled like rotten death, but there's no evidence of that in the carburetor, thankfully. I don't keep too many, at least I'm not aware of any HDB kits. So this is a Walbro, obviously, but an HDB, it's almost a blend of an HS and an HDC. It's just kind of, it's different. But obviously it's meant to handle bigger CCs than the HDC. So, but again, I don't work on a lot of those, so I don't keep kits on hand. So I'm glad this looks good on the inside. We're just going to drop a new fuel hose in there and go. But one of the things that's come up a couple times this week on the web page contact form is, "Hey, will you work on my blah blah blah?" And sometimes it's a common saw. It's not. It's no big deal. Other times, hey, a couple times this week especially, that's why I'm chatting about it, whatever saw it was, was a uncommon model from a vendor that hasn't been in business for 50 years, shall we say. And I'm not too inclined to take those kind of projects on, because they end up being, in some cases, multi-year projects, because it takes that long just to find, you know, whatever widget you need to get it going, whether it's a carb kit, a condenser, a piece for the starter. If something else used it, that's one thing, but if you're looking at proprietary parts on something like, I'm going to say, a maul, okay, those saws haven't been around for 50 years. God, I love a good pressure test. Perfect. So the mauls haven't been around for 50 years. Now, you guys know that I restored a maul for Gary. What was that, a 2MG, I think? And by restored, I should restate that. I got it running. I certainly did not restore it. I got it to good running condition. When I hear the word restore, I think, oh, okay, that's a paint job, that's decals, that, you know, that's making it look new or better than new. And I'm not taking those on at this point at all, period. I'm just not. Getting stuff running is one thing, but those kind of repaint restorations, they're fun, but they take a crap ton of time. They're expensive for the customer, and honestly, the amount of time that I spend on one, I could do repairs on, you know, another 5 saws. And that seems to be a better use of my time. So anyway, that's just a thing. So if you've contacted me about a paint job and been turned down, I apologize, but that's the theory. That's why. Just got too much stuff going on, not enough bandwidth to go into those kind of projects right now. I haven't even painted one of my own saws in I don't know how long since I've done one. I've got one pending, and man, that customer has been patient. I mean, it was never the highest priority thing, but that saw has been sitting here for about a year now, because it's a basket case. That one is a feel-good saw, family saw, and that's why it's going to be worth it to him to do a piston and a cylinder and a paint job and all of that. He literally wants it to look brand new, and I don't think he intends to cut with it once I get done, but because he's got a ton of other saws that I've done over the years. But anyway, I'm not doing those right now, so hopefully that got, well, that changed the smell of the tank. I still smell death, but not nearly as much death in there. So once that smell gets into a plastic tank, I'm not sure you ever get it totally out. Which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So anyway, I also limit, within reason, what saws I will take here for repair. That trams that I just did is a great example. Oh shoot. That didn't need to happen. There we go. Tells me that theory didn't work either. The hole for the tank here, for the whatever vent system, is different than home lights. I'm going to have to bulk this hose up a little bit. Got an idea though. Anyway, that trams that I just did, I initially, we crossed communication, and he had it mailed before he saw the thing, my email saying, hey, just don't send it because I can't find any parts for it. So what I do when I'm, you know, if somebody wants something repaired that's not one of my home light, you know, models that I work on, is I look around and see, can I get the parts? That's the number one most important thing. and I'll go out and look and see if there's an IPL on the web, see if there's information. Because even if I can't find it branded, I mean, you guys know sometimes there's other companies that use the same parts. You know, if it carries a, if the saw uses a Tillotson HL carburetor, well, we know we can get those kits. That's no big deal. But in the case of that trams, I went out, hit eBay, hit Chainsaw, and then in final desperation just went straight into Google. You know, right into the browser, and trams model 400, and nothing. There was one article, or not article, but post over on Chainsaw Collectors, the international forum, guy who had one, and at the time he made the post, he had not run it yet. It was still barn find condition and in far worse cosmetic shape than the one that was here. And there was never a follow-up post about it, you know, running. Not that I could find, anyway. So anyway, I couldn't find parts. And fortunately that worked out, but that would have been one of those situations where I'd have had to say, man, sorry, I know you paid $50, whatever, you know, to ship that one saw. I can't do anything with it. And that's what I'm trying to avoid for all you guys. I don't want you to send me a saw for repair and then get an email, you know, however long later, use that piece, saying, hey, you know, I've looked everywhere, I just can't find parts. I'm sorry, man, you know, it sucks. And that's, no one wants that, because then you're out the money of the shipping. You got a saw that doesn't run, still isn't worth a diddly squat to you. So, if you get one of those emails saying, hey, I'm sorry, I can't work on that, that's why. I don't just, you know, look at the model and go, oh, geez, it's not a home light, I don't know anything about that, I ain't gonna do it. There's a little more thought that goes into it than that. So, yeah. So what else has been going on this week? Folks in Germany have discovered my webpage. Not that they hadn't a long time ago, but I have seen a better idea. Instead of screwing with this, I have seen a marked uptick in orders being shipped to Germany this week. I think I've sent 5, and it's not the same person, so that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. If you've been watching eBay, you'd know there's a seller out of Canada who's on there fairly regularly. I mean, he'll go for stints where he's not, but in general, he's around. And I don't remember his eBay handle exactly. Doesn't really matter. There was a 3100G home light on there. And for the condition of his saw and the relative, you know, rarity of that model, the $2,200 it sold for is not, it's not bad. I mean, it's hard to complain about. Now, if I can get a little super glue to hold that in place, we'll have a tank bed. I don't know, Poulan must have used a odd-sized duckbill, or had some sort of a hose insert or something. The one IPL I could find without spending a huge amount of time showed a tank assembly but didn't show a breakdown. And I know damn good and well that they had a replacement. But because this is a saw for me and I don't want to spend a huge amount of time screwing with it, that little setup will work. So anyway, we saw, 3100G sell at, I would argue that's a premium price, but good looking saw. So I'm sure the new owner is going to be well happy with it. Seller up in Marysville, Washington, or somewhere in that general vicinity, has gotten a hold of a bunch of new old stock home lights. I don't know what qualify a bunch. I want to say I saw 6. The most cool looking was he wanted 12 or 1300 bucks for a new old stock 8800, which you figure what an 88cc saw today is going to cost, and yeah, actually his price isn't bad at all. Never been fired, never been gassed. And he's got a few others that range in sizes. I think there was a 360, a Super XL, and they were all from that late 80s, early 90s era. There was a used 350 CS John Deere that went for around $750. So, kind of interesting to see that stuff on there. Get that upside down. That's the choke. So that's got to go. God, does this have to wrap all the way underneath? It must. The thing I would say is I don't like the diameter of Poulan's throttle rods. They're thin, thin, thin. I guess they hold up, because obviously these ones aren't broken, but yeah, it's not kinked. Huh, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, look how thin those are. Another thing about Poulan is they they do a lot of their painting with the saw assembled. A lot of these parts have overspray on them. Yeah. Well, they did. I don't think their wild things are being painted at this point. Colored plastic. That's the way it goes now. Not a huge fan of the working room here, but it's absolutely no worse than a freaking Super EZ, so I'm not going to complain too terribly much. So, yeah, I'd like to hear this thing run. This is, I mean, really, these saws adopted the modern design vertical cylinder fairly early. I mean, Homelight was holding on to their horizontal cylinders for quite some bit longer. Okay. Oh, I gotta remember what came in what order. I think the cylinder shield came on next. This thing had, I'm going to say it was leaking fuel out of whatever the vent system is supposed to be, because it had a fair little bit of sawdust and built up yucky in here. Come on, baby. It's tight coming out, and it's tight going back in. There's one direction you got to turn this damn thing, and it'll move. Until you find that point, it's a pain in the neck. Oh, this has to slip down. I'm never going to get it in the right place with the hand guard here. Those are the kind of details that can make a saw a pleasure to work on or a pain in the butt. We'll see. I am not taking this bloody handle loose just for the cylinder shield. That is ridiculous. That sure it acts like... Wow. You gotta be kidding me. Now that's a crummy design. Maybe it fit with the package that they were trying to work with here, but that's... If I was signing off on a design, that would piss me off. I'd be like, nope. Re-arch that handlebar or something, you know. The only hope is that I can slide this out and forward. There we go. Alright. Now maybe I'm whining about nothing. I would like this. Let's go together. There it goes. Okay, so I guess that's not so bad. If I can get these screws to start now. Oh. Yeah, that one started. So I've got a lot of parts to go through, and it's going to get worse. Another couple months. I'm not going to commit to a time frame actually, because I don't know when. But sometime this spring, I'll be heading into northern Washington, not too far outside of Tacoma. Made contact with a gentleman back in, somewhere around Thanksgiving. And he had bought out a number of shops up there and was ready to pare down. And there's going to be a whole bunch of Homelight headed this way. And there's enough, what was it, 17 or 18 totes, and we're talking the big totes. I want to say the 34 quarters. I may be a little off on that, but you guys get the idea. It's going to be a lot of parts. And I don't know what all it's going to be. Coming from 5 or 6 different shops, I would imagine it'll encompass a lot of product lines. Vast majority should be chainsaw. But here in the Northwest, or West Coast, wherever you want to refer to, they did have a good presence. They found a good dealer network out here, and there were a lot of string trimmers and mowers and every other dang thing sold. So it'll be a mystery until I actually get eyes on the stuff as to what we got to work with, but that's part of the fun, right? Yeah, could you maybe... Am I not... Where's the happy spot on this? There we go. Again, kind of a goofy design for that hand guard, but I guess it works. That choke works. Alright. I guess we ought to put the starter back on. Good compression. Ah, these are like Cullex dam starters. You gotta find... Great. You gotta find the hole before you let it drop, or it's not gonna do squat. Damn it. Wow. It is buried all right. Okay, that one finally hit. There we go. I really don't care for that style of blind hole that you've got to find, but whatever. Come on, baby. Guys that run these saws swear by them. Which is kind of true of lots of things, but the isolation system is, it's got a lot of components, but it seems to be engineered to keep the bulk of the saw down. There's an isolator set up right here at the very back, way down here, and then there's got to be some, yeah, there's one back here. So I guess that's a 5-point. I mean, you can see the engine can move independently, but it's not like it's flopping around like a dead fish. And I'll be damned, the on-off switch plate's missing. I ought to check spark before going too much further. Okay. Well, then we'll put a few little fuel in this. Let's see what we got. I've got a... what the hell I did with it. I've got the Oregon bar and chain that came on this now around here somewhere. It was... what the hell did I do with it? It's one of those guard nose that has the kind of banana tip. You can only go one. You can't flip the bar. At least I think that's what came on it. Who knows what I did with it. I'll find it at some point. Or dig through the mess and find another one. That'll be enough to see a short run. Okay. That must be, okay. Here goes nothing. Too many poles. Way too many poles. There wasn't anything in that car that was jacked up, so at least nothing I could see. That ought to be enough to flood it. I can tune that a little bit more. I want to get a bar on it so it's not spewing oil all over everywhere. I don't know if the governor is in the ignition. That's what it sounds like to me. I think that's a rev limited coil. Best I saw was 11.6, and I'll bet if I looked for a spec on this, 11.5 is basically what it was supposed to run at. So this will need to be one that's tuned in the cut. So, but not bad. Sounds pretty good.